What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Set and Forget podcast. So here we have a very interesting man that this literally just like popped up out of the blue. He hit me up. He's like, yo, I'm going to Miami. We need to do podcasts. I'm like, whatever you want, man. Whatever you say. You're the OG, bro. So what's up, Raja? Appreciate
Perfect, man. Good. You doing good?
Yeah. So how was your flight, bro? Because you're over in Pakistan now. So how was your flight?
Yeah. It was great. 15 hours, but we made it through. The only thing is, like, I had to beat jet lag, right? And for me to beat jet lag, I had to make sure that I knew the time in Miami and I knew the time that I'm going to flying over, right?
So what do you mean, like you stay up all night before coming?
Yeah, like from Pakistan to Doha, I stayed up all night. And then once we boarded the plane from Doha, I was like, okay, if I sleep the first 5 hours and if I wake up after 5 hours, that's going to be 9 a.m. Miami time. So once I wake up at 9 a.m. Miami time, all I got to do is just wake up, land in Miami, stay awake the evening, and then go back to sleep at night. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did, and it worked out perfectly.
So then it was 2 flights to get here?
It was 2 flights.
Okay.
2 flights, Pakistan to Doha.
So how long was like the whole like flight?
It was like 22 hours. 22 hours,
That's
but
fucking crazy.
Yeah. But so we had to choose between the Emirates and Qatar Airlines, right? So people who don't know, business class of Qatar is way better and cheaper, right?
What's cheaper?
What's that?
Like how much cheaper? I know the flights are like $4 or $5 grand.
Well, Emirates is going to be like 6,000, but Qatar was like 5,500. But they have a Q suite. Like, they make up your bed for you, the mattress. It was crazy.
Yeah, I've seen the Instagram reels. It looked crazy.
It was crazy because like, once you sit there, they bring you a hot towel, they bring you drinks, and then they say, okay, what time do you want your bed made? And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, what time do you want your bed made? After breakfast or after lunch? I'm looking at the time. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to have breakfast, and then after breakfast, fine. And then they made me walk out the seat, and then I made my bed. I'm like, okay, perfect.
So then you knocked out like the whole flight?
Yeah, I knocked out the whole flight for 5 hours.
This your first time in Miami or no? Because I know you were in Canada before or something like that, right?
Yeah. So first time I came to Miami was in March 2020. I think that's when I met Raul for the first time too. Mm-hmm. March 2020. And it was funny because that's when COVID was like really out there, right? So I remember I have my passport in hand. I'm walking through Canada, Canadian customs, and they look at me. They're like, "Where are you going?" And I'm going to Miami. He's like, "What? Are you crazy? We have a pandemic happening right now." And I'm like, "Oh no, that's fine." They're like, "Well, why are you going to Miami for?" I'm like, "To meet some friends." They're like, "Oh yeah." Yeah. So that was the first time I came to Miami.
And this is your second time now.
It is my second time now. But like, I would say this would be my first time because, like, the first time I came was just strictly business. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had the boot camp, all done. But this time I came on Monday just to experience what Miami is like, right? Because like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Miami time, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's fire.
Got so much to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just incredible. It's incredible. It's like the Dubai of North America.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were probably planning a trip to Dubai maybe like sometime this year and next year, and we've never like really like took that step because that flight is just like killer. We went to Cali once, so it was like 6 hours.
It's a killer flight.
Yeah, it was a killer, and we're like, bro, we don't know if we want to do that. So I want to talk to you about RajaBanks before RajaBanks. Like how did you come into trading? How did you blow up? Like, because you're an OG in the game, right? Like before I started trading, I'd seen you like on YouTube. I know you started going on live stream. No, but for you're like an OG, man. So like, talk to me like how'd you make all this like happen? Like, what the hell? All right, if you haven't downloaded the Swing Trading Lab app, it's available on Google Play Store and Apple App Store. You're missing out. It's like my own version of like a Twitter, right? Because there's a free section, and I'll either do chart breakdowns of free signals, or I'll kind of do like just like psychology tips on how the market is actively updating. It's like my version of a Twitter. So whenever the markets are going crazy, like CPI last week, I'm like, guys, stay away from CPI or update it. Like, it's like a Twitter, but for traders, right? On my free app, make sure to download it, Swing Trading Lab, on Apple Play Store and on Google Play Store. Check it out.
So you want the long story or the short story?
Give me the medium. Right,
Give me the medium story?
Right in the middle.
Okay, medium story. High school was okay, good. Didn't really get good grades at all.
That was in Pakistan.
Okay. Pakistan, yeah. So I did my O levels, which is high school, in Pakistan, and then I did my high school also. That's A levels in Pakistan, and then I went to university. right? Went to university. I did around maybe like 7 semesters in university, computer sciences in Pakistan. And then a turning point happened, right? My father decided that it's going to be a great time at this point that he should apply for business immigration to Canada. Right now, at this point, we didn't know anyone in Canada. Nobody. We didn't know a thing. All my dad knew that, okay, I'm gonna apply for immigration to Canada for the whole family. We're all gonna go to Canada, and somehow we're gonna create a life there. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Canada, Pakistan to Canada, perfect. Let's do it. So we immigrated to Canada. I did 7 semesters in Pakistan. So when it came time to transfer my credits to Canada, they transferred maybe 1 semester.
Wow.
Right?
How many years is Sebastian? I didn't go to college.
What?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay, so 1 semester. So it's 4 years, right? So 4 years have 8 semesters.
Oh, wow.
So I did 7.
Oh, shit.
I had 1 left, but they accepted 1 of them. They accepted 1 of them. So I'm like, okay, no problem. 1 of them, I'll deal with that, right? And what happened was when we moved over there, now this whole Canada culture was new to me, right? Like partying and this and that here and there. This was all new to me. So I was like, oh, wow, crazy. So I went nuts with that. I went so nuts. I couldn't get grades. They were falling. Grades were falling. My younger brother, so I was the oldest, right? My younger sister, she graduated. My younger brother, he graduated. And then a point came that my youngest one, she was getting into the same university where I was in. So I was in the 3rd, so I still had like 2 years left, and she was coming in at that point. When she was coming in, I felt like a loser. I was like, I haven't graduated yet. The youngest one's coming in. I was like, yeah, no, this can't be. So I went to my counselor. I asked him, okay, how long is it going to take for me to graduate? She's like, it's going to take you 3 more years, right? 3 more years. Now, I'm 26, and I'm looking at 3 more years, and my youngest one is in university. I was like, this can't be happening to me. Right? Because I'm the kind of guy who's going to look at that and say, you know what? No, this was a big stab to my ego. So I was like, no. So I talked to my dad. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm going to quit university and I'm going to go to Alberta because I heard someone in Alberta drives a truck and he makes $32 an hour with overtime. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So he's like, whoa, okay. So I left university. I packed my bags. I remember I had a Grand Am. It was a 1999 Grand Am. I don't know.
What the hell is that? Is that a car?
You guys know what Grand Am's? Pontiac.
Oh, it's a car.
Yeah.
I wasn't born yet, so I have no idea. What that was.
1999 Pontiac Grand Am. Yeah. I bought for $1,000. So I took that to Alberta. And my first time in Alberta was like, okay, my whole plan was I had $1,000 with me. And for that $1,000, I had to get a room in a motel, right? So now imagine I dropped out of university. My family thinks I'm a failure because I dropped out of university, and I'm moving to Alberta to make money, right? And I told them I have a job in Alberta. I'm going to go there, have a job. They're paying for my food. They're paying for my lodging. Everything's all set up. But I didn't have fuck all set up at that point. So went there, got a motel room, stayed in the motel for 5 days. It was like $150 a night, and I was running out of money. Long story short, I found a guy in Red Deer, Alberta. He had a trailer park. He rented me his room, so I got a job over there, and I worked there. But that job didn't last for so long, And one biggest lesson I learned from there was about not burning bridges, right? So what happened was I got a small job. That job was paying me like $7,000 a month. And then I got another offer from a bigger company that was willing to pay me $12,000 a month. So I told the guy.
That's pretty good, right? That's not like terrible for like just coming over out of college, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like when I dropped out of college, I Googled highest paying jobs in Canada, and they were all in the oil fields. All in the oil fields. Like no education needed, nothing. All in the oil fields. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go over there and make some money. So I told the guy, hey, I'm going to work for this bigger company. He said me stayed, and I didn't stay. And that was the biggest lesson I learned, because once I moved to the bigger company, there was no work, right? There was no work. I promised my family that, hey, I'm going to move over to Alberta, make money, and I'm going to support you guys. And at that point, I remember my dad, he had a leather store. And that leather store in profits was doing $800 a month.
$800.
$800 a month. $900 a month profit. So being where I am right now, when I think about that, I get goosebumps, man. I got fucking goosebumps because $800 a month to support 4 kids at the same time, and one has just fucked off to Alberta to work, and he's not making any money. That took a big toll on my mind. I was like, wow, this can't be happening because this bigger company promised me hours and money, but there was nothing over there. So I had to move back. I sold my car. I sold the Grand Am for maybe like $700. I took the first ticket, moved back to
your parents.
To my parents.
Fuck.
You know, and my dad was like, hey, like, we got to go to Pakistan. Can you chip in something? I'm like, I can't. I don't have anything. You know, and that was the point. That was the lowest point of my life, because that's the point where you feel like a loser. You know, you're 26, 27 years old. You're supposed to be making money. You're supposed to be helping your parents out, but you can't. You know, and at that point, I realized that burning bridges, why it's so important not to burn a bridge, because I had a consistent income. I left that, got greedy, went somewhere else, and now I was learning a lesson. So,
so how did you go from nothing to then learning how to trade?
Well, that same year, next year, I went back to Alberta.
Wait, so your family went to Pakistan?
Yes.
And you stayed here alone?
No. We all went to Pakistan. So basically what happened was we bought tickets from our credit cards, right? So we chipped in all our cards. We basically put down all our cards. We bought tickets and went back to Pakistan to visit family, this and that. And then from the, and that's when I met my wife.
Nice.
Right? That's when I met my wife. So we came back to Canada, and I was like, okay, you know what? Now I'm going to go back to Alberta because now I have more experience. So maybe it's going to work. Right? So that time I went to Alberta, and I literally walked into the first office. I remember it was Savannah Drilling. Right? I went in the office. The receptionist's name was Becky. I walked in. I'm like, hey, Becky, how you doing? And she looked at me, she's like, oh, hey, what's your name? I'm like, hey, this is Raja. I was here last year, and you said I needed experience. Here's my resume. So I fixed some experience on a resume. I'm like, here's my resume. You know, I've been working last year and this and that. So I'm like, you know, trying to go out again. She looked at my resume, and long story short, I got that job on the rigs. You know, it was amazing. I was making so we were working 91 hours a week, right? 91 hours a week. So during that, so I worked there for 1 full year. You know, that 1 full year, I think the work was maybe 8 months. 8 months, I was making like $7,000, $8,000 a month. And what I learned was that I'm making good money, but I'm sacrificing time. Like I'm substituting time to make a lot of money, you know? And whenever I would get breaks, you know, so what would happen was you would work 2 weeks, then you get 1 week off. 1 week off, I'd come back to Ontario because we moved to Ontario. I'd come back, and some of my friends were working door-to-door sales, you know, and they were making maybe like $10,000-$12,000 a month, working less hours. So I would always see that. I was like, okay, that's interesting, because I'm working this much, making less than them, but they're home at the same time, but they're making more, you know. So this one time I went back, and I'm like, okay, hey guys, like, you guys got to hook me up. What are you guys doing? You know, so they said, okay, so we sell stuff door to door, like hot water filters, you know, hot water tanks, furnaces, stuff like that. What they told me that every sale you make, you're going to make $1,600. Every sale. And I was like, what? So I was like, what? $1,600 per sale? You know, so I told my dad, I'm like, hey, like, you know, there's this opportunity here, you know, like whenever something happens, I go to my dad. I'm like, hey, like, you know, what do you think of this? So he looked at me, he's like, listen, if this was that easy, everyone would be selling door to door, $1,600 a check, you know? So I was like, no. Like, you know, it's real. These are young guys. They have an R8, like one guy bought an R8. This was like back in 2015. 2015, 2014, when the R8s were new, you know, you had an R8, you were like, oh wow, this guy's balling, you know. So, so I took that opportunity. My parents said, no, don't do this, you know. Like the thing is, when your family members tell you don't do certain things, but you believe in that, you know, and you're like, oh, you're against my hustle, you're against my grind, this and that. It's not like they're against your grind. They love you. They don't want you to go through hardships, right? They don't want their offspring to go through hardships, go through pain, no money and all that. That's why they tell you to, hey, get a consistent job where you can make enough money to pay your bills and support yourself. right? Business entrepreneurship, it's very hard. You know that, right? You guys know that too. It's very, very hard. So I did that. Sales, first month, nothing.
Nothing, no sales.
No
so
sales.
you didn't collect no check?
Nothing, nothing. Like, and at that point, my wife was living with me too. So imagine, like, so we would go out at like 8 a.m. and come back at like 9 p.m. From 9 a.m. till 7 p.m., we'd be knocking on doors every day. All day long, knocking on doors, coming home at night. My parents would ask me, hey, you have any sales? Nah. My wife would say, oh, your day went good. I'm like, yeah, no, nothing. So first month, nothing, absolutely nothing. And remember, after the first month, I got my first sale, and I knew that from that one sale, I made $1,600. I walked out. I remember this was this house. I walked out, and there was this little garden they had, and in that garden, they had a bench. I sat on that bench. It was raining a little bit, and I started bawling my eyes out.
Oh, wow.
I started crying. I was like, wow, I finally got my first sale. The homeowner came out. He's like, hey, buddy, you okay? It's raining. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. My manager is on his way. So he came, he took. So from that point, I learned, I think door-to-door sales really set me up for trading, right? And I'm going to tell you how. Because when we're doing door-to-door sales, we had a lot of turnover rate. Because, like, you knock on the door, you don't know who's going to answer, right? You don't know what type of a mood that guy is going to be in. Sometimes we knock on the door, the guy would open the door, he's like, what do you want? Or some guys would say, oh, hey, how can I help you? Right? So every door majority of the doors were no's. Knock on the door, no, we don't want it, don't want it, don't want it. Someone who would let us in, then that would be a sale. So when I started trading, this was one of our agents, he would come into the office every day. And he would say, so he was with this MLM company called WFG. I forgot the main name of WFG, but it was called WFG. It was a multi-level marketing before IML.
Okay.
And he would come in and he would show me his phone. He was like, hey, Raja, look, I'm up $200. I'm up.
Those are probably like demo profits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, demo. Yeah. And then he's like, $300, $400. I'm like, okay, great. We have a team meeting now. Yeah. Go back to a team meeting. Right? Because we got to go in the field and make some real money, right? This demo shit is not going to work. So that stayed in my mind. That then one day, so what happened was we had around 20 agents, right? Business was doing really well. We were doing around $250,000 a year, right? And so we had a lot of downtime, right? So one day I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I see this guy, Uncle Ted, on Instagram.
OG as well.
Right? Yeah. I see this guy, Uncle Ted, on Instagram, and he posted something about 8,000 in a few trades. And I was looking at that, I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, so this kid, he showed me his profits too. And this guy is making 8,000. I'm like, what is this? So I messaged him. I'm like, hey, what's this? He's like, this is Forex. I'm like, oh, okay. Then, our agent came back. I asked him more about it. He's like, yes, like MetaTrader, Forex, this and that. So my whole concept at that time was that, okay, I worked on the oil rigs. I made great money, but I substituted time, right? And then I started door-to-door sales, which was better money, but I spent less time. Right now, I was looking at someone who's making more money, but spending less time. So my whole mindset was that, okay, now slowly I can probably deviate into something where I can make more, but in less amount of time. So that's what really got me into trading. We had a lot of downtime, had some money saved up. So I was like, okay, I was looking for new challenges, right? Like I met a friend over here in Miami, Ray. He's a great businessman, real estate, cars, stuff like that. So he's in the same position now where he's looking to say, okay, you know what? I got a lot of time. I got to find new challenges in life, So that was me back then.
So you were chilling in the oil rigs, making enough to maintain your life, maintain your family, and then you're just like, let me try this. So you just like did it to just like entertain it, basically.
Just to like, okay, let's see if I can do something with it.
And then when was the point where you're like, all right, like this, like, forget about the oil rig. This is the new thing. Like, how'd you know how to take that leap of faith? Because I feel that's like where like a lot of people are just like, I have a good paying job. I have a good, income, but I want better. So how'd you know like how to do that leap? If you're so like nonchalant about it and then you're doing good at your oil rig.
Yeah. It wasn't the oil rigs, it was like, the business we had door to door, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I got very complacent with my business. it was running on autopilot. We had agents come in, they'd go into the fields to work, they'd get sales and whatever, everything was perfect.
So you like leveled up in the ladder. Now you're like, now you got people under you like doing
Yeah,
the same.
exactly.
Okay,
Exactly. Right. So when it came to trading, I was like, okay, so what happened was, so I started asking questions to Ted. I'm like, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I guess at that time, there were a lot of people asking him questions. Plus also, there were other influencers out there as well from the UK, some from Miami too. I'm not going to name everybody, but, so I would message them saying, hey, like, what do you think about brokers? Which broker I should go to? Which pair I should trade? And this and that. And most of them, like, what they told me? This is our program. Buy this program and you'll get all your answers. And I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense, because I was a business guy, right? And I thought everyone would be open to share some information, not the entire information, some knowledge where it could get me to a right track, right? But this Ted guy, he told me, okay, go open an account at IC Markets. And I said, okay. Like, I was just dumb.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about trading. I'm like, IC Markets, okay. I'll open up an account in IC Markets. I asked him, how should I deposit? Via credit card or bank transfer? And Ted said, I don't know, man. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. I'm like, okay. So I deposited a $200 account, and in 1 week I lost that account because
easily,
because I don't know what I was doing.
Easily.
So at that point, Ted answered a lot of my questions. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This guy is open to me. He's answering everything. Perfect. So at that point, he was having hosting a webinar. Online webinar. So I guess because like a lot of people were asking him questions, so he wanted to just like host a webinar, just like a group, something like that. It was about $350, So I paid him $350. He lived about 30 minutes away from me, and I told him, hey, listen, if this is a scam, if you take my money away, I know where you live. And he's like, yeah, don't worry. So I'm like, okay. So I took his webinar, and that was a beginning of a really, really good friendship.
Wow.
Because what happened was, once that webinar was done, we used to have Zoom chats every morning, right? Every morning at around 6:30 a.m., we would have a Zoom meeting. And in that Zoom meeting, there'd be like, 20, 30 of us. And we'd just looking at the markets. That, okay, USD CAD is at a support. It can go up over here. Okay, let's take a buy and see what happens. Price will go up, profits, okay. Price will go down, negative, losses. We're like, okay, why did we take a loss? So that's how we started, like the basics.
And then how did Ted, like if Ted had so many people hitting him up, how did you get to become just like the one that he was like one-on-one with?
It's not even about
one-on-one. Did you pull up to his
one-on-one.
house in Canada? You're like, yo, what you got?
No, actually, we went to eat tacos.
Okay.
And he paid for my lunch. So
Nice.
yeah, that was very, very nice of him. You just got to be active.
Yeah.
You just got to be outspoken. You got to be active, because I remember we had like 6 groups, and you had to be very vocal about what you were doing, sharing charts and stuff like that. Like now you have a group, right? You have a group. I have a group as well. So I always say, like, whenever you're joining a mentorship group, you're not joining a mentorship group just to like sit back and just read the chat.
Be like a fly on the wall, yeah.
No, you can't. You have to participate, because the more you're going to participate, people are going to notice you. And the more you participate, the more you post charts, the better you get at the charts. Because like, in the beginning, like, a lot of people, when they join groups, they're very shy, right? They don't want to post analysis because they want to seem stupid, right? Because like guys tell me all the time, hey, I don't post charts because
they're scared of critique.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if I did it well, or like, I don't want to embarrass myself. I'm like, hey, that's the way to learn. You post charts. I used to post charts all the time.
All right, so we had a little cut there. So continue what you were saying. Basically, like, you're getting the rhythm. You're the guy always posting the charts in the chat, right? Because I'm sure we have, like you can see like the different type of energy of people when they're in the chat. Some people like pop on the Zoom, they don't even talk. They don't even show their face. I'm sure you're the guy like asking all the questions. So like, now that you're like obviously closer to Ted, you're getting on the Zooms. When did you know how to have that shift? Because I feel that's where like a lot of people get scared. They don't know exactly when to make that shift. Like, all right, you know what? Fuck this business, or I'm gonna put it to the side a little bit more. I'm gonna go full time in trading. Did you have like a big trading day? Did you have just consistent results? Like, what made you do that jump?
Well, what happened was, I think it was a blessing and a curse, because our business was doing very, very well, right? So I remember we had like around like 120, 130,000 saved up. And I started trading in the mornings, right? Pre-New York time, just trading gold, 1 to 2 trades a day. And then like, sometimes I would like drive into the office and I'd be up like $1,200, $1,300. And to me, that was like, oh, wow, okay. I'm up $1,200 before the meeting has already started. So I'm like, perfect. This is probably a means to an end. Or probably this is some kind of a side hustle that may grow to something more. At that point, I didn't really know much about it. So what started to happen was as our agents would go into work, I would still be on the charts. London close, noon time, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. I still be looking at the charts. And once you make profits in the morning and you start to look at the charts by like noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., you start to lose those profits. Yeah. And that's what started to happen. I started to lose profit. I started to trade New York close, right? New York close. I would take trades at New York close, pick my agents at 5 p.m. when the spreads get wild. Yeah. Drawdown was increased. I would drop them off to work. I'd head home at like 7, 8 p.m. By agent open, I'd be in massive drawdowns. Yeah. After making profits in the morning, I'd be in drawdowns in the evening. So that took a huge toll on my psychology because at the end I was like, okay, you know what? Some days I can make 2,000, 3,000, but some days I'm losing 4,000, 5,000. So I was like, okay, you know what? Slowly I'm gonna add money to my account. So I started adding money to my account, because I had money saved up and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm the boss over here. I got money saved up. I can just trade, so my business started to take a hit. The late 2016, I lost my business because my agents got poached by other managers because door-to-door is a very competitive business, very competitive. If you're not on top of your agents, they're going to get poached by someone else and they'll offer them more money. So my agents got poached. My business was in a downhill, and trading, I was just losing money here and there, but the first 2 months of trading, incredible. Made amazing profits, but after that I started to think to myself that, okay, what's happening over here? First 2 months was amazing, then I'm losing. So I looked at so I actually talked to Ted. I'm like, hey man, like, I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my business, I'm losing money in trading. I got a family, I'm planning a kid soon. Like, what the fuck is going on over here? He's like, look at your the only thing he told me, he's like, look at your patterns. Right? So I didn't know what pattern to look at. We chart patterns, and then one night I was sitting and just watching charts. And I remember I had a buy on pound yen and it was a 3-lot buy. We were living in an apartment, my wife was there with me too. And I told her, hey, we made $900 in this buy over here, but I was already in a drawdown from my savings, and I looked at that and I'm like, okay, you know what? And then asked myself, why did I take this buy? And the only reason I know why I took this buy was because the 4-hour candles were at support and I took a buy, price went up about 30 pips, 35 pips. I closed the trade, profits. I'm like, okay. And then an epiphany happened, and then I'm like, okay. So in the beginning, how we used to trade was we would literally look at 4 currencies, USD, JPY, USD CAD, GU, and gold. That's it. 4 currencies. We would look at the 4-hour candles, right? And we would look to see where the 4-hour candles were closing. Whichever currency's 4-hour candle would close at a support or resistance, we would take a buy or a sell, secure 10, 15 pips, and call it a night or call it a day, right? And I was like, oh, okay, shit. This is what we were doing in the first 2 months. I was making crazy profits. And after that, what happened was I wanted to make more money, and the only way to make more money was to get more pips. 100 pips, 200 pips, 500 pips, looking through Instagram. Oh, okay, Fibonacci's perfect, 100 pip trade. Let me get that, right? Yeah. Let me get that trade. Or let me get that EMA crossover trade. So started learning about Bollinger Bands, EMAs, Fibonacci's, stochastics, RSIs. At one point I was doing divergence trading based off of MACDs and stochastics. You put those 2 charts up and you draw a divergence line and then you look at the chart and then you try to trade. And tell me how well that goes.
Yeah, there's too much going on.
It was fucked up, man. Yeah. Like, it didn't went too well at all. Yeah. And that's what I did for 7 months, and I kept losing because I thought, okay, the more I learn, oops.
Yeah, fucked up.
No, these lights are very bright.
Yeah, I know.
because I was like, okay, the more I learn, the more I'm gonna make or the more I'm going to earn. But that was not the case, because I was very successful in my business. I was very successful at my job, whatever I did. But that same success doesn't come into trading. This is what we were talking about to Ray as well. Like, he's very successful. So we're like, okay, the same work ethic is not going to come into trading, right? You can't learn more and earn more. It's just those simple things, you know? So I had to go back to the basics then. Okay, let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to just reading the candles, because if you can't read candles, you can't trade. No indicator is going to tell you where prices are going to go if you can't read a candle. The biggest example I can give is, let's say you have a pie chart, right? How simple is it to read a pie chart?
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple, right? The pie chart says 45%, 60%. You're like, okay, pie, this is it. Perfect. What if I told you that, hey, Alex, I have this indicator, right? You put this indicator on your pie chart, and then this indicator is going to tell you what percentage is a certain pie. You're going to tell me you're out of your goddamn mind. You know? I can remove this indicator, and I can look at the pie chart and tell you it's at 40%. You know, same thing with trading. You know, like, if you can't read the chart, which is candlestick chart, no indicator is going to tell you where to enter, where to trade.
And I feel like that's something that a lot of people complicate, because they're just like, because we come, or at least I come, I can tell you came as well because you're in sales. The more you work, the more you're supposed to get paid. Yeah. Meaning the more you learn, the more things you add to the chart, the more you're supposed to get paid. It's like overtime, right? Everybody knows, like, oh, you work overtime, you get paid extra. So everybody thinks that the extra you put on the chart, you're going to get more money, or the more time you spend on the charts, the more money you're going to make. And I feel like that's something just killer, because people don't understand how to not work to get more money. And I feel like that's something that's insane. Just, guys, bro, all you have to be is on the charts 1 hour a day, and then you're good. Sometimes you don't even have to be on the charts at all a day. Yeah. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people like yourself, you come back from a very hardworking background doing sales. My family's Cuban, so it's the same thing.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, so it's like, it's something that you're just not going to, like, I can tell you it, but you're not going to understand it.
So what did they think? Like your family is Cuban?
Oh, bro, they hated it.
Oh, yeah?
I thought I was an idiot. Yeah, I thought I was like a total idiot, bro.
You're young, too.
Yeah, I'm 22.
Right? They're like, you're young. What are you doing at this point?
Yeah, no, I thought I was a total idiot. Until I got, like, my first payout. When I got my first payout from my funded account, that's where everything, like, changed for me, yeah. That's where I just blocked out all of the noise. Yeah. So you're going through all these, like, rough paths. Like, when did shit turn for you? Because I know you started going on live streams, right? So at what point did you decide, like, if you're losing, how are you going on live streams? So, like, when did shit turn for you?
It really turned in 2017.
So you're losing for how long now?
I lost all my savings.
Oh, shit.
I lost all my savings. I remember this one time we were living in an apartment. The rent was $1,300. Now, throughout my working career, I've had money. You know, I've had money because, you know, I started in different projects and stuff like that. I made great money, but there were certain periods of time where I experimented with different things, and for maybe like 2-3 months, I wouldn't have enough money. You know, and then I would jump into something else, I make good money, and then, you know, like up and down. So this one time, I remember our apartment rent was $1,300, $1,350 plus parking, $50. You know, and didn't have money to pay for the rent. You know, so I told my wife, hey, like, you know, this month we don't have money to pay for the rent, so we gotta make money somehow. And she proposed, well, we have our wedding jewelry, which we can sell, and we can pay the rent that way. And I remember I took her jewelry and I went to 4 different pawn shops, right? 4 different pawn shops. Someone would say $1,000, someone would say $1,100. And for me at that point, like $50 mattered a lot, you know? And this one guy, he said $1,300, you know? And I was like, how about $1,375? And he's like, listen, kid, take it or leave it. I'm like, and then I told him, listen, I just need extra $50 so I can pay the rent with parking, and I just want to get that done. So he looked at me, he saw the urgency, he gave me $1,400. Wow. You know, he gave me $1,400, $1,350 went towards rent and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, you know what? After this, I'm gonna give trading one last shot. And if that doesn't work, I'm done. I'm not gonna focus on this at all, because, like, you know, to sell jewelry like that, to pay rent, oh, as a man, that's a huge insult, you know? So that's what I did. I think I had maybe like, you know, 4,000 I took from somebody and I deposited in the account and started slowly trading it. Because at that point, what I said to myself that, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. right? And this is what I tell guys now too, that if you want trading to pay for your bills, don't focus on making 10,000 a month, 50,000 a month. Don't focus on that. Focus on paying one bill a month. You know, so what I did was, okay, you know what? My internet bill is $70. Let's withdraw $70 a month. You know, so once you withdraw $70 a month, that goes towards the internet bill. You're like, okay, trading is paying for my internet. You know, once that gets done, you're like, okay, perfect. Now there's no pressure. I don't have to trade enough to pay my rent. I don't have to trade enough to, like at that point, I was working somewhere else too, just to pay rent as well. You know, so long story short, by the 8th month, by mid 2017, I remember I had my biggest withdrawal. You know, that was $4,000. I remember my bank account was at 16,200 something. I woke up and my bank account was like 21,100 some dollars. I was like, wow.
I look nice in there. Huh?
Wow, man. You wake up, 4,000 comes in, your bank account has crossed 20,000. To me, at that point, it was like, okay, up to that point, after losing a lot, my bank never went above 20,000. When that went above the psychological number 20,000, I'm like, this is real stuff. And that was the point where I started to take it seriously. Because if you walk out there and you tell anyone out there that, hey, my bills, let's say like $200 in bills are paid from the market, it's going to blow their mind. Let alone telling them you make 10,000 or 20,000. You just tell them I pay my bills from the market. They were like, what? And I'm struggling here for what? You know? So to me, that was a huge deal. I paid my rent from that 4,000. I still had 2,000 left over. I'm like, perfect. Just gotta have the same discipline at that point. Just one trade a day in the morning. Actually, I'm gonna lie, that wasn't my strategy. I copied that from Ted, you know, because I remember we would have our webinars. He would come on in the morning. He would come up at like 7 a.m. We'd start the webinar at 6:30. He'd come up at 7 a.m. He would take a trade till like 8:05, 8:10, like 10 minutes after New York Open. He'd be like, I'm done for the day. Then he would just go away. And we'd be on the webinar till London close.
London close.
Till London close.
So all day.
All day. Most of the morning. You know, and I was like, okay, you know what? This guy's making a lot of money by just coming on, saying hi, taking a trade, and just going about his day. You know, I was like, okay, let me copy that. And that's what I did. I just copied it. Just one trade a day, one session, focus on one pair, pound yen, USD yen, you know, gold, whatever that is, just copy what successful people do. That's all I did. You know, and slowly what happened was that you start to understand how a certain pair is going to move during a certain time. Let it be pre-London, London Open, pre-New York, New York Open. You're really going to understand how that moves, and slowly you're going to be like, okay, you know what? I can execute on this trade. Or if someone executes on that, you're like, okay, I know exactly why he executed on that trade.
So then when did it start snowballing for you after you started spending less time on the charts?
After I started spending less time on the charts.
And then what made you start going live streaming? Do you still live stream to this day?
Yeah. Now I basically, so we started live streaming in 2018. The whole point was, it started as a joke. You know, it started as a joke. It was like, okay, so we were doing live webinars every day. We're winning trades, and we're like, wouldn't it be awesome if someone wore a mask, went on Twitch live, and traded just silently, like, you know, wearing a mask, trading, made money, and then just through a mask said, made money, great day today, end stream, right? So that was how it started, you know, as a joke.
You started on Twitch.
We started on Twitch.
Okay.
We started on Twitch, and then we showed some violent content on Twitch. Then Twitch banned us, right? We're like, oh shit, Twitch banned us. And then we went to Mixer. Mixer is an online streaming platform by Microsoft. We went over there, and Mixer was banned in a lot of countries, so we didn't get exposure. Then we're like, okay, let's go on YouTube. We went on YouTube, blew up. And I think most of my discipline came from the live streams, because every day going through the live streams, saying the same thing, which was 1 to 2 trades a day, one session. That's all you had to do. And I think that really instilled the concept of discipline, you know, because I, as a host, I had to show discipline to people who were watching me, right? And I remember our first live stream was like 50 people watching us, 50 people. A month from there, it grew to like 100 people, then 200. I remember when we cracked 1,000 1,000 random people watching you.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
You know, the amount.
And then, like, would that put like pressure on you where you were like mess up or no?
It wasn't a lot of pressure because we built it up from the bottom. Like, you know, so when you build it up from the bottom, it kind of like, you know, you get used to it. You know, so now we get maybe like, you know, 6,000-7,000 people, they come and go into the live stream. So now it's just like, now we really cut down the timing because I have kids too, I got a family. So now we stream only like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, depending on what's happening.
So you'll stream for how long? Like 30 minutes, an hour?
No, like 1.5 hours.
And then what do you do like
hours.
throughout the rest of your day, like when you're done trading?
Spend time with the family. We just started going horse riding. We do that, working out, you know, like we got a dog now, and it's just.
So like you don't revolve your life around trading anymore, and that's where you started seeing more profits.
No, not at all. And this is a very interesting conversation I had with Josh, a really good friend of mine here. He flew in from Washington. I guess he's downstairs somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, so we were sitting having dinner, and he's like, man, it's Asian session, and I haven't seen you pick up your phone and look at the charts at all. I'm like, why? Why would I want to look at the chart at a time when I know I'm not going to be trading, right? Like if I know I'm going to only be trading in New York session, it doesn't make sense for me to look at like, what's the time right now? It's almost like, you know, 9:45. It's an hour and 45 minutes after New York Asian Open. It serves me no purpose to look at the chart. Why am I going to look at the chart? I'm only going to look at the chart if I know I'm going to be executing a trade. Otherwise, there's no point.
So once you started doing that, everything just started like snowballing.
Everything just starts snowballing. Discipline changes everything in life.
What would be like the top 3 things you could suggest somebody out there like struggling? Like RajaBanks when you first hit up TED. Like what would be like the top 3 things you could suggest?
Top 3 things?
Yeah.
Top 3 things. The top first thing is going to be 1 or 2 trades a day. That's very difficult. Very, very difficult because like, you know, let's say you got someone with a $500 account. You know, you got someone with a $500 account, you're trading with $500. For you to take 1 trade or 2 trades and make like $5, that's not enough. You know, because you got a $500 account and you want to make $10,000 tomorrow, you're like, I got to do more. You know, but that's where working in, I would say like working in the traditional sense and working in trading are 2 very different things. Because the hard work you do in a retail store or the hard work you do in a company, you get promoted quick. You get more money that way. But in trading, your hard work is on your discipline. You're going to take 1 or 2 trades and that's it. You're going to study those trades. You're going to see why you took that trade. Because here's the thing. Once you win a trade, there's always a better entry you could have taken. Because if you could have taken a better entry, that means you could have had a bigger gain. If you lost a trade, there's always a way how you could have really lowered down your loss. That's where Magic Keys comes in, right? That you can mainly lower down your loss that way. So that's what happened. But like if you look at it that, oh, I took 2 trades, I gotta take more trades. I gotta put more work in the charts, more trades. No, that's not work.
So what would be your other 2? So that would be number 1. What would be 2?
1 or 2 trades, 1 or 2 instruments. Okay. You know, like US 30, gold, pound, yen, just 1 pair. And the third one is going to be just choose 1 time you want to trade. Just 1 time. Don't choose a time when you're at the gym or at the grocery store. That's the biggest mistake guys make, right? They be at the gym doing bench presses, sets done. All right, let's take a look at the chart.
Yeah.
Ooh, drawdown. Ooh, shit, another set, let's go. You know, and then more drawdown.
Yeah.
And no, that doesn't work like that. So you got to choose a session that matches up with your life. That you know that, okay, in your real life, this is the time when you have time to look at a chart.
Okay, but let's say somebody that doesn't have time. Say somebody like Raja. Raja in 2013, working all day. What do you suggest to those guys? Like, because those are the guys that want to know when they take the leap of faith, when they make that movement. What would you do?
See, this is a very tough question.
It is. It's a very tough question.
And I get this all the time. And mostly I get this from people who have families.
Yeah.
You know, they work from 9 to 5. They come home, they have a family to take care of, and they basically have their time. The time they have is like maybe 10 p.m. And 10 p.m. there's no volume.
There's no
10
volume.
p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
10 p.m. Eastern time. There's no volume at that point. So what I tell them is to look at the dailies or the 4-hour candles. You know, because what's special about the 4-hour candles is that every 4-hour candle is going to fall into a higher volume time.
Okay.
right? You're going to have a 4-hour candle that's going to start at 1 a.m. Eastern time, pre-London, and that candle is going to run till 5 a.m. Eastern. So that's your entire London session. So that's where on the charts you're going to see a big 4-hour candle forming. The next 4-hour candle from 5 a.m. Eastern is going to run till 9 a.m. Eastern, which is going to be a New York session, right? So if you can take a look at those 4-hour candles and say that, okay, all I got to do is to identify where a 4-hour candle is going to go, I think I can trade inter-session time. Inter-session time is where you're placing a trade in pre-London and you're letting it run till pre-New York, or taking trade in Asian session and letting it run till, like, you know, like you had a gold sell, right? Yeah, he had a gold sell in last week, like when he was selling gold. Yeah. For guys who don't know Raul's,
we got
yeah.
Raul's. Like, so there's a lot of pressure. You got Raul's.
Yeah.
So then somebody that doesn't have you would just tell them, you just gotta like grind it out, right? You gotta stay up throughout the night or wake up a little bit earlier. Just make it happen.
No, mark up your charts.
But like let's say like they're working a 9 to 5. And
you're working 9 to 5,
and then they're you're trading there in New York. You just gotta make it happen, right? Like, figure out, have it on your phone somehow. Cause like when I've done like webinars, I'll see people that they're like in the office and they'll have like their phone here on the side. Like there are people like at work or driving a truck, moving around.
Yeah, we've
so
had
like
that too.
Before they take the leap of faith of doing it full time, you suggest them to just try to make it, like, try to find the balance while you're working. Cause like it's fucked up that at the same time that the markets move and there's momentum is when you're working, right?
Yes.
So that's like annoying.
Yeah.
To like the majority of the people out there.
Yeah, the biggest thing is mark up your chart and visualize how you're going to see the next 4-hour candle form. And I can guarantee 90% of the time, if you do this for a month, 90% of the time, you're going to accurately visualize how the 4-hour candle is going to form. And once you start to visualize that, then you start to execute from the second month or the third month. You're like, okay, you know what? I spent a month watching this one pair throughout the day on the 4-hour time frames, and I can accurately say that these are the days when we have volume, and these are the days when the 4-hour candles are bigger. So maybe now it's time for me to take like a small position just to test it out. You test it out the second month, third month, automatically your confidence starts to increase, and you start to understand that, okay, you know what? I only have to focus on the 4-hour time frames because I'm working, I have no time, and this is way more easier. But if you're working, you got a family, scalping and stuff like that's very, very hard. You can't.
Biggest psychology tip you would give out to the guys out there?
1 to 2 trades a day. That's it.
Pretty simple.
It's simple. 1 to 2.
Because that removes everything else. That removes greed, fear, FOMO. Like if you just stop at 2, you don't let your emotions get to you when you take the other trades.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I wasn't doing too well, people don't know this, I had a virtual psychologist. I'd go to these Reddit forums and they have these ads of like, oh, you need help, we can help you, blah, blah, blah. I was losing a lot of money and I was like, what the fuck? So I had this virtual psychologist, right? And when you lose a lot, you can't tell anyone because inside you think that people, they may not understand what you're going through, right? But so it's very, very important. So I told this person online that this is what's happening, blah, blah. And this person doesn't know what trading was, right? And this one thing they told me, they told me that the human mind can only make 1 or 2 emotional decisions in a day. After they told me that, I never went to that session again. Because what I realized was that once you're trading with money, right? And whenever you make a decision around money, that's an emotional decision you're making. So psychologically, as humans, we can't make more than 2 or 3 emotional decisions around money. Once you go past the third and the fourth, that's when you start looking at things from an irrational perspective, and then you go into over trading and revenge trading, and things start goes out.
Just everything goes out the window.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like there's no point after that. So whenever someone asks me what's the secret sauce, I'm like 1 to 2 trades a day. If you stick to that, you're gonna have a great time. If you don't stick to that, man, you're gonna have a tough time at the markets.
And then you're gonna stay in the game long enough to know how to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to stay in the game long enough.
Fair enough. Yo, appreciate you, Raja, for coming all the way from Pakistan, all the way over here. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So you guys already know, stick to 1 to 2 trades a day, and then...
easier said than done.
Easier said than done, yeah. Appreciate it. See you guys in the next episode. Take it easy.